much is what they can do on special teams something you guys have highlighted?
Yeah, I think you have to. I'll be honest with you. In my opinion, the most feared special teams returner that I've seen since I've been in football. He's outstanding. Kick returner, punt returner can change the game in an instant, and so we've got to do a great job being prepared. They do a really good job on special teams, which is fun for us to watch. And we have the ability to be really good on special teams, so I think it'll be a really good challenge for us.
Anything changed with the quarterback since Monday?
No, I mean, it's like I said, for us, it's the practice piece of it, evaluating all that, and then just kind of make a decision on what gives our kids the best opportunity to be successful. But both those guys have practiced as normal, and both those guys have practiced well this week, so they need to.
There's a lot of talk about Hill's running ability, obviously, but he's a pretty effective passer too. What kind of threat can he be there?
Yeah, I think that's what's probably most impressive in 2 games is his ability to throw the football. He certainly, you saw that early in his career, right when he started his career at Texas A&M, and I think that's the thing that sticks out, and that's what makes quarterbacks like that so dangerous is that they can move, they can create things with their feet, but then the opportunity to make you pay once you try to get everybody out there to stop the run, and he does a great job, so it'll be a great challenge for us.
As for this week, is the environment a little bit different or the mindset a little bit more different now that you're going into Big 12 play?
Yeah, I hope so. Gosh, I do, because you're talking about getting into a conference game and the opportunity to play a conference opponent, especially a conference opponent that's been near or at the top of this conference. And so I don't know how you can't get up and get excited and get ready to play. And especially from our end, you talk about the way we performed the last 2 weeks and trying to get better one day at a time. It's a great opportunity for us to do it early on the road in a big conference football game.
You talked a lot on Monday about changing the culture, the woe is me culture, I think is what you said. Is that, what's the degree of difficulty, does that go up without some reinforcement of a win here? Or does that get harder when there's not that positive reinforcement?
Yeah, well, I think that's why it looks like it does, right? Yeah. For the last couple of years, to be honest. And so, winning comes when the culture is right and when you do the little things right. And I've always said this in football, like, you just don't get lucky. You don't luck into wins. Wins just don't happen. Like, you have to really do a great job of detail and focus, and you got to do a great job of, that's why our starting point's attitude and effort, and then from there, fundamentals, and then from there, how do we grow and how do we build a great foundation to it? So, I think that's where it has to start. That's where we started, and obviously there's work to be done in those areas because, you've seen the results of the last 2 weeks.
Have you seen anything through practice this week that would lead you to believe that those penalties are going to be improved on Saturday?
Well, I think we as coaches have really sat down and, my challenge to our staff is how do we get better at some of these things? And, again, there's football penalties and then there's stupid penalties, and how do we eliminate the stupid penalties? And so I think we've tried to change some things in practice and how we practice and how we address some of those stupid penalties and see if we can, again, get those out of our system as we go in and understand that that's going to be critical to our success as we continue moving forward.
No, you talked a little bit about going back to basics. How much did you end up taking, I guess, away from the offensive and defensive game plans this week, maybe to simplify things?
Well, I think they make you simplify, a little bit just with not only ourselves, but who we're playing, the tempo in which they play with, the amount of movement and pressure that they can put on you defensively, and then offensively, the tempo that they play with. I think it forces you to simplify who you are and what you are. So, I think as much as our own selves, what we're playing and what we're playing against forces that as well.
What do you change in practice for the penalties? Just curious.
Well, I just think it's again, some of those are attention to detail, and those are things where whether it's how we practice, how we get aligned, making sure that our alignments are correct. I think it's the emphasis on some of those things that, again, those are things that are frustrating because it doesn't take talent to line up and make sure you got 11 guys on, 11 guys aligned correctly offensively and defensively. So, and some of those penalties, to be honest with you, are football penalties, and it's guys playing hard and trying to play really hard, and sometimes that happens, but it's those foolish ones that we have to get rid of.
Akeem Butler, good to go?
Yeah, Akeem practiced today, which I'll be honest with you, I didn't really know where he was going to be at. So he's healing quickly. I think he'll be ready to play on Saturday, which is great to see, and we need him.
Was Dondre banged up in the first game too?
He
Back
did,
when you were
yeah. Dondre only played a quarter and a half of that first game. You know, after that big touchdown catch, he got dinged up, sprained his ankle. You know, tried to go a little bit last week, wasn't able to do it, and you know, I think he'll be back ready to go this week. So he practiced last week. Towards the end of the week, just was not full go, and didn't think it was right for him to, you know, go in and play at 50%. But I think he's a lot closer to 100% this week.
DeAndre Payne, is he back to 100%, or where's his status with his?
Oh, I think so. You know, he played 40-some snaps in the game last week. So, you know, I think just it was good for him to get in a football game, play, and now, you know, the confidence of, you know, getting that rust off and actually playing in the game at full speed, I think is huge. So I think a lot closer to 100% as we go into this game.
Warren told us yesterday about the meeting you guys had on Sunday. What was your kind of feeling about how productive that was coming out of it?
Well, I hope really productive. You know, like I said, I don't have. I really like Mike Warren. We need Mike Warren to be really successful, for our program to be successful, and you know, I think for him it's just about refocusing and getting back to the details of what made him successful, and also, you know, his leadership is critical for our success. And I said that before the season started, and you know, I'll say it again. He's a guy that, you know, a young offensive line, some young guys around him. He's got to his process has got to be able to bring others to his level, and I think Mike's done a really good job. He's had a great week of practice.